Welcome to the All New Marvel Roundup, your weekly guide to the Marvel Comics. I am Phil, and with me as always is...
Charlie, yes, sir.
Alright, well, we'll jump in. First I'll do my two. My first one, which is probably my pick of the week, is Captain Marvel and the Carol Corps #1. It starts off, this territory is Hala Field. Carol Danvers is pretty much still Captain Marvel, wearing the same uniform she's been wearing. Then we see her and her fighter squadron. They're gonna, looks like they're gonna take out a Hydra base, but before they can bomb it, it gets taken out by the Thor Corps. The Thors destroy it, and they pretty much take off, except for the local Thor, who is, Kit, the little girl that Captain Marvel basically has been her sidekick for the last year or so. But she's a little more grown up now. I don't know if that's because she's a Thor or, something to do with Secret
Been 8 years.
Yeah. But she's telling Carol about how great it is to be a Thor, and she's like, all praise all Father Doom, and he gave me this hammer, he forged it from a star in the sky, and Carol's like, wait, he did what? And so she goes back to her squadron, and some of them have already been looking at inconsistencies with the world, like, why do the instruments in the planes measure higher than they can actually go? Higher than the sky goes, because beyond the sky, there's only the void. And after the comment from Kit, she's asking them, she goes, have you ever seen a star? And they're like, what, like the shape? The star shape? And they're like, oh, like the star you wear in your uniform? And she's like, no. And basically just a big argument starts. That they shouldn't be talking about this. It's blasphemy. But then Carol gets called away to the office of the Baroness Cochrane, who gives her assignment. They have to take out a boat that they were told that is full of Ultrons, but right after they fire their missiles, Carol sees that there are humans on board, so she tries to get in the way of the missiles or save people, but she only ends up saving like one person, and she comes back to the barracks with her people, and right now they're pretty much all in agreement that, the system is corrupt, and that the world isn't what it's supposed to be. So at the end of the issue, Carol tells her squadron, she goes, I'm going to see what's on the other side of the sky. She goes, who's with me? And that's the end of the issue. But big thumbs up.
Cool.
Yeah, that's my pick of the week. And my other book by myself was Inferno #2. Let me see. It picks up where we left off last, 2 weeks ago. Colossus's team was trying to storm the demon-infested Manhattan. We see a demon with Boom Boom, who had basically been, stabbed through the gut. It looked like maybe she was going to die, but I don't know. The demon's kind of keeping her alive for what? Who knows? Maybe to transform her. But then we go back and we see Colossus. At the end of the last issue, he ran across the Goblin Queen and Havoc. But they're going to form an alliance because with Colossus' sister out of the way, the Goblin Queen can take control of Manhattan and rule it. So right now they're allies, and they give Colossus his sister's soul sword, which I guess can take out most of the demons. And he has to prove his worth by beating up some of the Goblin Queen's demons. And then we see Domino imprisoned down below with the Goblin Queen's son, Nathan, or as he likes to call himself, Cable. And he looks pretty young, but he still looks like he's infected with the techno-organic virus, but once again, he's a pretty young Cable. And Magic, meanwhile, has captured Nightcrawler, and as we see at the end of the issue, she kind of twists him, and I don't know if she infects him with a demon, but he becomes like a giant dragon. And let's see. But yeah, just more Colossus telling Domino he made the deal with the Goblin Queen, and they go to storm Magic's palace, and that's when they see that she has Nightcrawler as a giant dragon. Once again, another thumbs up, another good issue. I recommend both of those ones. So what did you get, Charlie?
So, for me, I'll start off with my pick of the week, and that's Captain America and the Mighty Avengers, Last Days. Sorry, we're closed. Last issue as the world ends. A powerful, moving book. Honestly, it is basically Tony Stark has informed, or at least Tony Stark's legal department has informed Luke Cage that he cannot use the word Avengers anymore. Fun note, Danny suggests that they call themselves the Friend Force. I liked because it has the FF there. And since there is no current FF magazine, I hope that after we get back from Secret Wars at Friend Force with Luke Cage, who is a member of a reserve member of the Fantastic Four, for those who don't remember, and She-Hulk, also a Fantastic Four member, formed their new little FF. I think that'd be cool. Anyway, so the storyline basically is our heroes as they face the incursion with the World 1610. A very beautiful scene between She-Hulk and not Captain Marvel, but the former Captain Marvel, Photon, I believe, is in Monica. Basically, they realize that, okay, we're going to destroy a world. We can do that very easily. They have Monica fly at light speed and turns into a hard light form, and she's going to collide with the Earth, which will essentially turn it to dust. And she's moving at light speed, but just before she gets there, she sees a group of children playing, and she can't do it. She can't destroy the planet. And then Reed Richards captures her, evil Reed Richards, 1610 Reed Richards captures her, or his machines capture her, and he and his robot go back and forth about why they didn't, why she didn't destroy the planet, because they said, wow, I wish we had a hard light being. That would have made this so much easier. But Reed Richards says, well, don't hold it against her. Your first time's always the hardest. Obviously destroying a world. That's the majority of the action there. Then we go into a really nice scene with Dave and Sonara basically manning the Avengers outline zones. Just talking people through the end of the world, because it is the end of the world. And the Hulk and Colossus and She-Hulk are fighting. They don't show us what they're doing, but it's implied they're murdering people. And everyone does what they do at the end of the world. One little toss-away scene, lovely, as they're counting down 34 minutes to live, 31 minutes to live. At 18 minutes to live, Adam Brashear and Max Brashear are doing something. Now, maybe they're working with Reed, maybe they have their own project that they're doing on the side, and maybe that comes back to help us. We'll have to find out later. In the end, Luke and Jessica and Danny basically at a soup kitchen feeding people as they're waiting for the end of the world. And you actually have what appears to be Iron Fist waking up, and it says you, but this doctor, he's speaking with him, telling him, your friend brought you in here, and you saved these kids' lives, and at the end of the world, we all meant something. That's what the doctor says. We all counted. I'm very proud to die alongside you, my friend. Can you turn your head? It's really quite a view. And they have the end of the world as everything cracks and destroys. Says, we were all Avengers, every one of us. And it was just a really powerful, moving book, end of the world. And, really made the point that if you don't try, the world's already ended. And even when they know they can't win this one, it was just beautiful and powerful. And that's why it's my pick of the week. Next book, which Okay, getting into your crazy, crazy fan stuff here. Ultimate End, Hulk vs. Hulk, issue number 2. So all the Thors show up to yell at the 616ers, or we're going to assume the 617ers, so we're assuming this is World 1611 and 1617.
Mm-hmm.
They're all telling them, you don't mess with this dimensional rift thing that you've created. And again, this is the whole point. This is why this is blasphemy, because, as we've said, the multiverse still exists. It's still out there. And this is scaring Doom, because when people realize the multiverse is still out there, the fact that he lied about the end of the world to Strange and to everyone is going to come back, and he's gonna be sorry about it. Anyway, the Thors tell them, you don't mess with this, stay away from it, you're not allowed to touch this incursion point, which they think is the cause of these two worlds being merged. Tony Stark says, well, what if we, find a solution? Can we propose this to Doom? And the Thors say, no, you don't touch it. And Hawkeye says, hey, you can't tell us what to do. And then, it seems like the Destroyer Thor just basically fries Hawkeye and just strikes him with lightning, kills him dead, melts him a bit. And that's the end of that. Then the two Tonys meet, 1611 Tony and 616 Tony. And this is not, and this is also how we know this is not 616 Tony, because he's not Superior Iron Man. He's classic, I don't drink anymore Iron Man. And 1611 Iron Man, he offers him the whiskey, the flask, and he's like, it kills me that you still drink, and all this kind of stuff. And they start talking about how, as futurists, how they're going to fix all this. And 1617 Tony, or 1611 Tony suggests they, do their calculations on pencil and paper, because you can't trace that. And they're going to start getting to work. And they make a mention here, which is very important, that apparently, let me find, says, what difference does it make now? Because 1611 Tony says, what difference does it make now? Either Lord Doom is going to wipe our part of the world away and start anew, as we both know he has done before, or all of us counterparts are going to rip each other's faces are. Either way, my sobriety is hardly necessary. He offers him the whiskey. And what's important about that is, so apparently Doom has had to get rid of parts of his world and replace it with other parts. And again, where is he getting these other parts except from the rest of the multiverse? Mm-hmm. That he can pull in other parts means that there is a whole multiverse still out there. There's an infinite multiverse still out there that he is pulling from. And the 16 and these Tonys realize that, and they know that Doom is up to something, and now they're going to sort this out. And very nice scene with Peter and Ultimate Aunt May and Ultimate Gwen Stacy sort of at her house, and they're sort of dealing with the fact that their Peter's dead and his Gwen Stacy's dead, and he's like shocked because they're all so much younger than him, and Gwen's kind of surprised at how much older Peter is, and that's a very sweet scene. And then the big important part, we get to Rikers Island, and the Punisher's in there, and someone's doing the Punisher stuff, and then who should smash through the wall? Ultimate Hulk, the Grey Hulk. Mm-hmm. And the Warden, who we don't see, is on the phone to Nick Fury, who is conferring with Maria Hill. And Nick asks, if the Hulk was smashed in or was tossed in. And he says, what does that matter? If, and Maria says, what does that matter? And he says, well, because if he's smashed in, it's bad enough. But if he was thrown in, it means we're dealing with something that can throw a Hulk through a wall. Uh-huh. And then a Green Hulk shows up. But here's what's interesting. This is not because we see the 616 Hulk there with his beard and his mohawk on the top of Avengers Tower, and the Hulk we're seeing, this is ripped purple pants, full head of hair, no beard Hulk. So there's a third Green Hulk on this planet, and he's smashing up Riker's Island. The Punisher escapes, which is all well and good, because that comes back later from the first issue. They show him targeting all the superheroes as they race to a fight. And then they call in all these heroes, and this is what's interesting. Remember how I said last week, we haven't seen any of the members of the Fantastic Four? Well, apparently Ultimate Sue Storm and Ultimate Johnny Storm show up in this fight, at least seemingly. There's a Sue Storm there. There's definitely an Ultimate Sue Storm, because we see a woman in blue uniform on the invisible platform. And then there is a guy who looks like Ultimate Johnny Storm, and a guy who looks like a Human Torch. Now, the Ultimate Johnny Storm has what looks like an Ultimate Johnny Storm uniform on, although you can't see his face. And the other Human Torch we see, that could very well be Jim Hammond, because we don't see any kind of uniform markings on him. So that's interesting. That could be the ultimate thing there in the background, because I know he turned into like an energy being like Wonder Man now. So they're all coming to face the Hulk. So very interesting. There's definitely a lot going on in Doom's world, and all the cracks in Doom's world are starting to show. As I said, we saw from the first issue of Battleworld, there are still other dimensions. There's still more than just Doom. That the multiverse didn't end, and Doom is lying, and we've known that since the very beginning now, that Doom has been lying to us. And now, one can argue, is Doom lying to us for our own good, or is he just lying to us because he's a jerk? Now, we previously said he is a big jerk, so I'm going with he's a jerk. But we may be wrong yet.
Oh, yeah.
Big thumbs up for Ultimate End. You know, if you weren't looking for a nice, slow, poignant book like my pick of the week, Ultimate End, really your great questions raised and theories provided book. So that was definitely my number 2. And now, you know, honestly, I hate to say it, number 3, not third pick of the week. I still liked it a lot, though. Secret Wars 2099. Oh, yeah. What did you think of this one, Phil?
I liked it. We get the 2099 Hulk.
Oh, yeah. Who, you know, I had mentioned previously, you know, the Devil Hulk, and it strikes me how much the 2099 Hulk looks like the Devil Hulk, and so it's a very interesting thing to have him here. We see Strange 2099 as well as the Silver Surfer as our defenders in 2099. Nice to see the Silver Surfer. I'm wondering what his backstory is going to be. Obviously, he's an immortal like Hercules. So I'm hoping that those two have some kind of a conversation about the fact that, you know, they remember something from the past world. Mm-hmm. And that should be interesting to see. What did you think of the reveal that Black Widow is eating people?
That's something. I'm wondering about her origin. Is she genetically enhanced, or like science experiment gone wrong, or
horribly right, you know? But it seems like Hawkeye is basically, like he said, you know, a machine, the product of a machine that mixed a hawk and a human, and let's see what we got. And, there's a fun line where Miguel threatens to toss him in to the machine with a weasel and see what pops out. So, yeah, definitely when we look at Captain America, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, we definitely know there is a lot of secrets going on there. I find it fascinating that Captain America knows about Roberta, but Roberta does not know about Captain America.
And the husband seems to be on the deal.
Oh, yeah, the husband, definitely. And, I noticed that, you know, when they both call in their codes, that he's 0 and she's 1, which suggests that, you know, he's in on it before her. Makes me wonder if Captain America knows her husband is in on it, or if she is being lied to about that, you know? Because, you know, obviously he doesn't blow his cover with Roberta, but that he calls it in too makes me wonder if they haven't been totally upfront with Roberta on what's going on as much as she thinks. One thing that kind of struck me is this weird little neck thing on Miguel. I'm wondering if that's meant to be like a weird fashion thing in the future, or if he actually has something wrong with his neck and body. That maybe that's going to come up later.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's all very interesting. He does have his red eyes, though, so he definitely still has his spider powers. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I do wonder if he's going to suit up at some point and join his Avengers. You know, it's a good book. I'm liking the Defenders. I definitely want to see where the Defenders go. You know, Vision in last issue said that the Defenders will appear as friends, but then will be enemies. But that doesn't say if they're the good guys or the bad guys. Mm-hmm. You know? Because, yes, they may be the enemies of the Avengers, but we're assuming the Avengers are the good guys. And we haven't seen Thor 2099 yet, and that's something I'm going to be interested to see, because I do wonder, you know, again, for the world that Doom wanted, he sure has a lot of unlicensed superhumans running around, you know?
Yeah, I don't think
no, that's what I wanted. I'm sorry?
I don't think he has the control that he really wants to have.
Yeah. Although, again, to something that Nunez said last week about, you know, why don't we see more Doom's omnipotence? It seems to be, to me, that he does have it. Because, as I say, he's wiping out parts of the world when they don't meet when he doesn't meet his needs. But, you know, so he does seem to have that kind of power, or at least has let people remember him having that kind of power. You know, and again, we have Stephen Strange manipulating everyone's memories, so maybe he hasn't done that so much as he wants people to think he can do that. Although, we'll get into this a bit more on super connectivity. You know, they gave the preview out this week for Old Man Logan 2, which comes out next week. And what really shocked me is Old Man Logan doesn't know about the Thors. Because when he encounters a Thor, when he goes over the wall, he asks why she's dressed like a dead man. No. And she says, what you're doing is not supposed to be possible. So it really struck me as interesting that there is a lot more to Secret Wars than I think Doom wants us to know. And again, still no other Dooms, and I was actually waiting to see if Doom 2099 was going to show up in this, or anywhere in this, because, you know, Doom 2099 is a very interesting character, because he's not actually Doom. He was a guy who had his mind rewritten by Doom's mind rewriter, so he is Doom, but he's not Doom. He's just a copy of Doom, but he was Doom enough. But actually, in that way, he was kind of a superior Doom, because he was still the guy he was, and so he wasn't the sociopath that Doom is. So when he actually did make the world a better place. Because, do you know what's missing from Battle World? That I think is going to be of crucial importance later on?
What's that?
Where's Latveria?
There you go.
In Doom's perfect world, he didn't save the people he always said were the most important to him. His subjects in Latveria. All these worlds and not one Latveria. Interesting, isn't it?
Unless there wasn't one left.
Well, I mean, again, he was able... I find it hard to believe that the only parts of every universe that was left was America. You know, specifically the New York metropolitan region was the only thing that was left from all the universes. No, he very specifically pulled these parts together, I think, because he didn't want to rule over a planet of Latverias. He wanted to rule over all of the people who had been thwarting his will his whole life. He wanted to rule over Manhattan. Well, yeah, he wanted to rule over all the superheroes.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay.
I said that's what I was going to say, that rather than save his people, he wanted to lord over his enemies.
Exactly, and that's what he does, you know. What's the point of being the ruler of Latveria? He's already done that. He wants to be the ruler of everybody else. He wants to make them pay. the fools, because he's a socially awkward man who doesn't know what it means to be good, but just wants everyone to think he's good. Oh, so pathetic to him. Such a pathetic guy. Oh, God.
It's just weird. It seems like there weren't that many Marvel books out this week.
Well, there were. I just didn't buy them.
Yeah, but
I wanted to get Weird World. I didn't. I'm sorry?
I was going to say, I looked at the list. I mean, there were a few more out, but there wasn't a lot of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to have your light weeks. I mean, you know, if I could have, I would have gotten Weird World. I certainly would have gotten Captain Marvel and the Carol. Captain Marvel and the Carol Corps if I could have. But you know, this was a light week for me. I couldn't get as many books as I would have wanted, and you know, that's the problem. And of course, you also had the Battle World Journal book out this week. Not that, but I didn't get that one either. So yeah. So anyway, yeah, it was a late week. A short Marvel Roundup for once. We can use it. We've had very long ones lately.
Yes. So is that it then?
I guess so, because I want to say something for Super Connectivity.
That's right. All right, everyone. Follow us later in the week in the Super Connectivity. But for now, that'll be it this week for All New Marvel Roundup. If you want to get a hold of me to discuss Marvel Comics, please do. You can email me at nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and on Twitter, I'm at nightwingpdp. And remember to go like the All New Marvel Roundup and Super Connectivity pages on Facebook. You can talk to us there. Charlie?
And you can write to me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com, and follow me on Twitter at CharlieEsser.
All right. Well, that's all for this week. Come back next week. And remember, Dr. Doom is a jerk.